Well, hello there. I am not currently holding a crowbar. I instead have a microphone on my lapel. Some people would call it a lapel mic. I actually don't know if this counts as a lapel or not. I'm sorry if I lied to you. I'm also sorry if the audio quality is kind of whack, because this is the first time I've really used this microphone, and it's a little sensitive. Like me. Anyway, I wanted to do a video that was less ranty and rambly and talking about why everything is terrible, and more, hey, here's some cool stuff. So welcome to the first episode in probably not even really a full series, but I'm going to call it Cool Shit on the Internet that you don't really need to know about, but I kind of want you to know about because it's pretty cool and I like cool shit on the internet. By me. This is going great. I'm going to pick 3 things off the top of my head that I think you might enjoy knowing about. Hopefully you haven't heard about these before, and hopefully they spark just a little bit of joy in your life. These are all things that I found pretty awesome, and have varying degrees of actually useful or not even kind of. The first thing I want to tell you about is infiniteconversation.com. This is a wonderful example of just like putting something on the internet that's just interesting. It has no real purpose besides like, hey, isn't this interesting? Infiniteconversation.com has 2 AIs that are having a never-ending conversation with each other. It just goes on forever back and forth, where one AI says something, and then the other AI takes that output from the first AI, thinks about it, and responds. It sometimes makes sense, and it sounds like 2 philosophers going back and forth forever about various things, and every once in a while they veer into actually interesting conversation, and then sometimes just nonsense. If that's not just cool, like it doesn't do anything, but like it's cool though. Thing number 2. Have you heard of Gemini? Not the astrological sign and whatever, and I'm actually a Gemini, but Gemini is some deep nerd shit. Picture this. The internet has too much going on, right? Well, Gemini is what if we took the internet and removed everything but the text. That is doing it such a disservice, and I'm sorry if you're actually like a Gemini fan, because it's not a great explanation, but Gemini is inspired by some older internet protocols, basically saying, hey, you know what? When we first designed the web, we just said, I want to be able to reach over to another computer and be like, hey, can I get some documents from you? And then I want to read those documents. And that's what Gemini does. You have probably heard of HTML. It is the thing that powers the internet, right? It's what websites are made out of, more or less. Gemini does not do HTML. It has its own whole thing going on. Basically, it's just its own new internet. You can host a Gemini server and people can reach out to it and browse your website on Gemini. There are even gemlogs, which are the equivalent of weblogs, which are blogs. And all of this is done as a text-based protocol, so you can run it from a terminal or use a basic browser that's just going to give you text. You're not going to get bogged down with trackers and a ton of images to download and ads and stuff. It's just people sharing text with each other and emulating what the original idea of the internet was supposed to be. Is this useful? No. Not really. But does it scratch some weird itch deep in my nerd brain that's like, yeah, I'm sticking it to the man using this really complicated text-only online protocol to serve content that mostly no one's going to care about? Yes. I've actually seen a take about Gemini that it's more fun for people who want to tinker with Gemini than it is actually that people want to deliver stuff over Gemini and like produce content to be on the Gemini network. But I mean, it's still neat. The last thing I want to talk about is actually not really a product or a website, it's more of a mindset. I want you to think about your web browser on your phone or on your computer or whatever. That is referred to as a client. Now your web browser obviously doesn't have the internet built into it. I'm not here to talk to you like you're 5 about how the internet works, but your web browser reaches out to a server, the server sends you back data, your web browser displays that data. Now here's a question. Let's say you go to a website, let's just say Instagram. Now, Instagram servers has all their data, right? And a lot of that data is proprietary. It's their software. And they turn it into a web page and send it to you on your client. Who owns that data now? Do you? They sent it to you. It's on your phone. It's on your computer. It's on your client. Is it yours? The answer is an unequivocal yes, and you can do whatever the hell you want with that data. The very easy version of this is an ad blocker. If you've installed an ad blocker on your browser, you're already mucking with the data being sent to you from a server. That is the tip of the iceberg. You can do a whole lot of stuff with what's sent back to your computer. You may have heard of like Tamper Monkey or NoScript or some of these things maybe. And they're all essentially just plugins for your browser to muck with what's coming back from the servers before it shows to you what you're supposed to see. But think about this. If you own that browser, and if they send you the data, and you now have possession of that data, and you can do whatever you want with it, that unlocks a whole lot of potential. Now, many companies and websites will do a lot of work to make it so that it's incredibly difficult for you to modify their app on your own accord. However, it's still possible, and there's still things like browser extensions that create plugins that change how a website looks to either hide stuff that you don't want to see or add features that weren't there before, and you can do this to a ridiculous extent and customize virtually the entirety of your experience on the internet. Now, of course, there's kind of an understanding here that if you start messing with the stuff being sent to your client, you've voided the warranty, so to speak, and they're no longer going to help you if you run into a problem, especially if you break one of their systems because they didn't think that somebody would do a thing to their website. However, start small. Open up the developer tools on your web browser next time that you're on a desktop. Poke around at what you see in there, maybe watch a tutorial video about how to use it, and learn about how to manipulate the website just a little bit. This is what I'm talking about with you have control on the internet. It's your data. Do what you want with it. If they want to serve you ads, you have every right to block those ads. The only thing that they can do is put in their terms of service somewhere that you agree to not mess with their website, and fuck that. The web is still cool and weird, and it's up to all of us to keep that alive. And the cooler and weirder the web is, the less power that massive companies have to silo us off into boring, advertiser-safe experiences. So go listen to some random infinite conversation between AIs, and go think about what you would post if you were going to have your own gem log, and then, maybe browse whatever extensions are in the store right now, but skip past the ones that are approved and branded from these massive companies, and maybe try to find the ones that do something like, let you skip past a paywall. I hope you enjoyed this random video of me walking around talking about random nerdy things that I find exciting. I would like to do this more often, but we'll see. Let me know. Take care, be well, etc., etc. Bye-bye.